Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member and all of the participants today. And I'd like to ask Mr. Bland, I'd like to ask you about the OCC's liquidity rule, and specifically about the treatment of municipal bonds and the so-called liquidity buffer that banks hold. As a former member of the City Council, I know firsthand the importance of municipal bonds. They allow states and cities to finance infrastructure, build schools, pave roads. They're incredibly important to city government. Unfortunately, in the liquidity rule, the OCC chose to include some corporate bonds in the liquidity buffer, but completely excluded municipal bonds. The OCC established liquidity metrics for corporate bonds so that if a corporate bond meets all the metrics, then it can be included in the liquidity buffer. But for some reason, the exact same deal was not extended to municipal bonds. Now, it's my understanding that the Fed has already recognized this inconsistency and is working on a proposal to establish liquidity metrics for municipal bonds. But the OCC is still refusing to consider giving relief to even the most liquid municipal bonds. So my question, Mr. Bland, I'd like you to consider two identical bonds, same size, same maturity, same everything. Both bonds are liquid enough to satisfy all of the liquidity metrics in the OCC's rule. But one bond was issued by a corporation and one was issued by a local government. Under the OCC's rule, the corporate bond would be considered a high-quality liquid asset, but the municipal bond wouldn't, even though they have the same exact liquidity. So my question to you, Mr. Bland, is do you think that that is a fair outcome?
Representative Maloney, first let me say we support institutions having a diversified portfolio of investments, which includes municipal securities. And it's important for banks to participate in the investment in municipalities for the purpose they serve, the support to local and state municipalities. The question you raise pertains to the liquidity coverage ratio, which is subject, our largest institutions are subject to, and not our community banks. The rule addresses asset classes and not looking at individual issuances. And so as an asset class, our experience and the data we've had has suggested that when stressed, municipal securities do not have the secondary market that corporate securities would have. And so the issue is around the class of assets, not an individual of issuance of any kind, but more our experience by looking at this category of type of investments.
Okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Cooper, and I noticed that Texas signed on to a 43-state investigation that wrapped up last week, which imposed a $5 million fine on New Day Financial, a lender that targets veterans for mortgage loans. And the settlement agreement concluded that New Day violated MLS rules of conduct by teaching to the SAFE test. They had at least 20 employees take the SAFE Act course on behalf of others. This was a complete lie, and including the CEO and COO, and lied to investigators about their knowledge of these actions, all in connection with New Day providing SAFE Act courses in-house to their own employees. And I've been warning about this practice of in-house SAFE Act courses for years. I've written many organizations about how it is a conflict of interest, and others on this committee, including Ranking Member Clay, have also warned that CSBS about this practice, but CSBS hasn't done anything so far about this, and it appears that New Day is allowed to continue to provide these SAFE Act courses in-house. So, Mr. Cooper, my question is, will you commit to having CSBS brief me, my staff, and other members of this committee, Mr. Clay and others, and anyone who's interested, on this investigation, and explain what CSBS is doing in response to what is a big scandal?
Certainly, Congresswoman, we will do that. I will tell you that the announcement of the settlement is a process that the states went through through the Multi-State Mortgage Committee that we have in order to try to deal with issues like this. We do think it sends a message, but we will certainly
Thank you.
look into other
Thank
things.
you. I have 4 seconds left, and I wanted to ask Ms. Hunter
I'm
the
sorry.
same thing on the liquidity
I'm
metrics
expired.
that Mr. Bland, if you could get back to me in writing. I'd appreciate it. I saw the article today in the Wall Street Journal that you're moving on it. Thank you.
I now recognize the